Can everyone hear me? Go. Hi. Good evening. Now we're off? Now we're on. Okay. Thank you all for coming tonight. I'm very excited to be here speaking with you. I've been working in the Israeli Foreign Ministry for the past 18 years. Yes, it's true. One of those poor souls that made Aliyah before Nefesh B'Nefesh. But thank you for inviting me here anyways. Over those past 18 years, I've been involved exclusively in dealing in one capacity or another with the challenge of presenting Israel's image abroad. And for better or for worse, I have almost a historical perspective on all the methods that were used and the strategy. And I can tell you with authority that this program that I'm going to share with you tonight is nothing short of a complete paradigm shift, a total change in the way Israelis in the government have come to view the challenge of dealing with our image, our goals, and the strategies that we are taking now to attain these goals. But before I go on, I just want to say to everyone in this room how specifically excited I am to be speaking with you here tonight. Because Israel's national branding program, which has nothing to do with above-the-line advertising, campaigns, or spins, nothing. What it's all about is social networks. And you here tonight, bloggers, people who create communities, people who are members of communities, you are the heart and the soul of social networks in the world today. And as such, I view, and I hope you view yourselves, each and every one of you, as stakeholders in the brand called Israel. I know that we in the Foreign Ministry view you as strategic partners in this process and know that it can't succeed if we don't have people like you on board. This is the anchor of where these ideas begin and flow out. So it's really important for me to share with you a bit of the philosophy behind this program. And most importantly, before I get the 5-minute card, I hope I'll have a chance to share with you some of the research that's been done around the world, but specifically in North America, focus groups about our current brand value and image. I think it will be very eye-opening for you and really crucial that you get a look into this to understand the urgency of this program and how important it is. So, without any further ado, and I'm going to zoom by the beginning because I know time is limited. But just to put it in perspective, and this is already one of the big shifts in focus of how Israel used to deal with Hasbara and their image. Country positioning, as it's called, or the field of nation branding. A person, a company, a country, they brand themselves for one reason and one reason only, and that's to attain an economic dividend. A tangible, measurable dividend that us as stakeholders will benefit from. And I don't just mean money. This could be tourism. This can be foreign investment. This can also be consumption of our national culture by buying a book by an Israeli author, by going to an Israeli film festival, but things that can be measured. People who are motivated to action. Here's just a really quick illustration of what this could mean. Here's a comparison between Israel and Ireland. Ireland, a country who went through a holistic nation branding program very successfully. Of course, differences politically and otherwise, but two countries with a similar population, a similar sized workforce, and as we all know, Israel's human resources are top-notch. Yet, take a look here at these statistics. The GDP per capita, more than double in Ireland. Exports, imports, way more than double. Now, when Israelis see this initially, some people are disheartened or depressed. But I must say, when I see this to me is a sign of incredible hope and excitement, because what this over here says to me is that Israel is not even scratching the surface of our potential. There is no reason in the world that these can't be our statistics or even higher. And this is a tangible measure of success in this program. So let's just move ahead to here. Before I go on about what branding is, a few words about what it is not. There was a lot of talk about Hasbara before. I myself work in the Hasbara department of the Foreign Ministry and have for many years. The classic model of advocacy, which is not what branding is. And these are one of the changes. This is one of the differences that I'm talking about. Traditionally, the model that Israel used for the past 60 years and even before for dealing with our image went something like this. The problem with our image abroad is lack of knowledge. This was assumed, by the way, without any independent research, but a gut feeling, lack of knowledge. If only people knew, goes the argument. If people knew the facts, why we do what we do, the historical perspective, etc., then people would agree with us. We would prove that we're right, and we would attain our goal, which the goal of Hasbara traditionally has been political support. If we convince people with the facts, we will gain political support. So what is the strategy? If people don't know, the strategy is to explain. And if they don't understand, then we'll explain again. And if they don't understand, we'll explain one more time. So they might understand why we're calling them stupid, but we'll keep explaining until they agree that we're right. Now, Hasbara, of course, translates as explanation. I work in the explanation department. And this strategy, while political support, by the way, remains one of our primary goals in the foreign ministry and remains important and crucial, and I'm not making light of it, because as a country we need political support. But over here, on the pyramid of influence, this top of the pyramid, the decision makers, heads of state, legislators, opinion leaders, these are people that in fact really do need to know all the facts. Their political support is a real dividend to us. Their decisions, the way they vote, impact on us in a tangible way. And whether this strategy works or not is a different debate, but this is a relevant strategy for these people. The tragedy, in my opinion, is that this strategy has been applied indiscriminately to the other 99% of the population. And as I share with you some of the research, I think it will become clear that this is both not an effective strategy to use indiscriminately and can even cause damage in terms of our value as a brand and our bottom line dividend. So, to summarize, one of the mantras of this program is that in terms of nation branding in today's global village, where countries are competing economically for a piece of the pie, it is more important, or at least just as important, to be relevant and attractive as it is to be right. Until now, our only goal was to prove that we are right. And we're going to talk a bit about when that's relevant and when it isn't. So to summarize, branding is not a replacement for classic advocacy, and I want to make that clear because a lot of really important work in advocacy is being done and needs to keep on being done. It is not Hasbara, it is not campaign, and it is not spin. What branding is a long-term, never-ending process. It's about creating a persona, an identity that encapsulates the good and the bad, about being relevant, about moving people to action. Now, a word about including the good and the bad, what do I mean by that? As opposed to spin or advertising with a positive message that doesn't deal with the reality and doesn't deal with our liabilities, a brand promise must include, it must be true, it must be genuine, and include everything that we are. An example of brands that include the good and the bad, for example, look at a city, we're talking about place branding, like Las Vegas. Las Vegas obviously has a large liability, especially in America, a relatively religious country, right? Their liability is gambling, something that is considered as not necessarily a good thing, taboo. Now that's a big part of who they are. They can't just avoid that, and they try to, by the way. There was a time when Las Vegas was trying to brand themselves as a wholesome place for kids. Obviously, that flopped, and I personally know many families who live in Las Vegas, and it's not untrue, but it's avoiding something that's very central. Their brand now, and here's a verbal interpretation of it, Las Vegas, what happens here stays here. What happens here? Now, they don't spell it out. You're allowed to fill in the blank, but what happens here? It's obviously not my son's bar mitzvah. It's something we all know what it is. They're kind of tongue-in-cheek, but they're embracing all of who they are. They're not denying it. They're saying, okay, we know what happens here, but, you know, you have a license to do what you want here. It doesn't leave here. They're relating to it, and it works for them. Another example, the Big Apple, a bit more sophisticated. The Apple of New York, obviously a very positive symbol, attractive, sweet, colorful. Yet, of course, the other side of the coin in the Judeo-Christian heritage represents something else as well, something very clear. It represents sin and temptation. Now, what they're saying here is New York is about the totality of the experience. They're not saying it's all good. They're saying it's the good, it's the bad. There's sin, there's temptation, it's exciting. You know, you can come here and see a Broadway show. You can have a great time. You can also get mugged on the way home. Take the whole package. This is New York. But they're not denying it. And when a brand and a brand identity is authentic, if the stakeholders feel that it's true and represents who they are, then it fits. Then it takes on through social networking. By the way, a great example, I don't have it here, but if you Google the Big Apple on Google Images, you'll see hundreds and hundreds of examples. And there's no advertising going on with the Big Apple. Hundreds of examples of New York small businesses that have voluntarily embraced this identity because they feel it represents them. If you walk down the streets of New York, of Manhattan, you'll see logos on stores with the apple. You'll see the apple incorporated into all kinds of names. This is a sign of it taking on a life of its own, but this only works when there's buy-in, when you first understand how people see themselves as an expression, an organic expression of the reality. So, one last word of the general idea of a brand. Here's one more brief example. Here we have two products. Two things that serve the exact same purpose. They both write. The item here on your left costs about 25 cents. If you're lucky, you can get one free from the hotel. Item on your right costs roughly $400. Now, the question that people who are involved in branding ask themselves is this: what motivates someone to action, to reach into their pocket, and to take out $400 to buy this item over here, when we all know you can get that one for 25 cents? Or the question I pose to you is this: what really is that person buying for $399 and change? Because we know the pen was just 25 cents. What are they buying? Status. That's the brand. The brand is a world of associations and images. It's a persona that has values in it, that has images. And those images don't live over here where we prove whether we're right or wrong. They live over here. It's the picture that comes up right away. And more importantly, we spoke of relevance. It's a world of images that attracts the person who buys it. It moves them to action enough to get up and shell out the money and say, it's worth it to me. I want to be part of that club. I identify with the world. It attracts me. I want in, and I'm willing to do something for it. That's what we talk about when we talk about a brand. Now, we also talk about a brand as a promise. It's a promise that something or someone makes about who they are. And a strong brand is a promise delivered. Like our example of Las Vegas, you come up with a promise that isn't true, or that all the stakeholders that are members of the brand won't follow through on, you don't have a strong brand. You don't have a brand at all. So choosing that promise when you find your identity is crucial. Likewise, brands fail when they aren't able to deliver against the expectations that they create. I'll give you a brief example of how a strong brand is like a backup generator, how it sees you through a crisis. We'll take a very popular, well-recognized brand, Coca-Cola. Okay, what's their promise? Beyond the soft drink, beyond the pen, what's their world of images? Life, youth, okay, cold and refreshing. All right, the drink is not cold or warm, it's a drink. The cold, the refreshing, that's part of the brand already. Those are the pictures that come up, right? I open it, can everyone hear the sound? See the effervescence? You pour it on the ice. What sound does that make? The crack. Okay, there's a whole world of imagery, and Coca-Cola has a very strong group of brand loyalists. There are people who, believe it or not, if they're thirsty and someone's only serving Pepsi, they'd rather not drink. I know this because I happen to be married to one of these people. So let's see how this works. Let's say, for example, someone landed from the moon today, and they're walking down the streets of Jerusalem, August, hot, sweaty. They hear the promise for the first time, Coca-Cola, cool and refreshing. Sounds good. They've never seen whether it delivers or not, so they have no loyalty. They're not a member of the club yet. They haven't formed an opinion. They go into a restaurant, they order a Coca-Cola. What happens when the waiter brings this person a plastic cup of warm, flat Coke? What's that person going to do tomorrow? Oh, next. This is the next thing on the menu. There's no relationship. All right? Let's take the same scenario, except with someone who's a Coca-Cola loyalist. They've heard the promise, and it's delivered over and over and over, and they've decided, I'm with Coke. That's my drink. What happens if that person has the same experience? They get that cup of warm, flat Coke in a plastic Dixie cup. What are they going to do tomorrow? Are they going to order Pepsi tomorrow? No. They're going to make excuses. It's not their fault. The generator was out. It was a fluke. This isn't the Coke I know. They're going to order Coke again tomorrow. And the day after, and the day after. They'd have to have a lot of bad experiences to change their opinion that they've made, one of their core opinions. Now, it's very clear, obviously, how this has value for a company such as Coca-Cola. Let me ask you, can you see the value that this would have for a country, this kind of brand loyalty? A country, let's say, such as Israel, that has unforeseen crises on a daily basis that are beyond our control. A value for that kind of backup generator that cuts us slack till we can get out of our crisis. These are one of the dividends of having a strong brand. So, it's kind of tongue-in-cheek when I say, can a country be a brand? Obviously, I believe not only can it be a brand, but every country is a brand, whether they like it or not. If we do not choose to take an active role in sculpting and defining who we are and how we want to communicate ourselves, then there are other people that are more than happy to do it for us. As you all know, an example, how many people in this room have seen or heard of the movie Borat? Sacha Baron Cohen took an innocent country, God bless them. They had no desire to communicate themselves to the world. They were plodding along by themselves. This country, Kazakhstan, suffered from very low differentiation. People didn't know too much about them. Pakistan, Uzbekistan, Kazakhstan, which is which, people aren't sure. He identified this and he decided to brand them as a primitive, ignorant country where incest and rape is a national sport. I don't know. Basically, obviously, none of it is true, but this is a prime example of how crucial it is to define yourself, how important it is, how you can't just leave it up to fate, and come what may. Obviously, everyone is aware that everyone has our Borat. We have our own Borat, and people who are very interested in filling the vacuum and defining us and our persona as something that is not complementary to meet their own needs. Great. We're over here. What I want to share with you now is some research that we did when we began thinking about this program. What you're going to see now are focus groups that were done in America in 12 cities, 12 focus groups all across America. What we were looking for is to test the nature of our brand currently. We had only 2 requests. One was that people in these groups did not know that Israel was behind the testing. They thought they were coming to speak about America and the world, and that there were no Jews in the focus groups because it was too much of a statistical deviation. So what I'm going to show you is a very short excerpt of a focus group, and let me explain what you're going to see before you see it. These people were brought into a room. They were asked to quickly throw out names of countries instinctively, and the facilitator started writing them on the board. By the way, just as an aside, Israel almost never came up unaided. This is already very significant. It wasn't on people's radar. The tester had to, if someone said Lebanon, they'd have to say, oh, good. What's right south of Lebanon? Israel, good. Okay, just to get it up there. So that was the first bit of input that we got. After about 40, 50 countries were on the board, they were told to organize them by topic. She went out. She came back in. When she came back in, this is what happened. She randomly picked the list that had Israel in it. So let's take this group, and we're going to play a game called the House Party. All right, we're standing here all together on a street, Main Street, USA. There's a row of houses on the left and a row of houses on the right. Each one of these houses is a house on our list. And in each country, in each house, there's a party going on. It was a brilliant test that was developed for this study to kind of milk people's subconscious associations, the imagery that comes up emotionally, the pictures, the sounds that come up when you say Israel without people knowing that we are asking about Israel. Okay. All right, so we'll just end with the focus groups then. I'm going to just show you. No, I'm going to show you the focus groups. It's 2 minutes. How do we click on the link? Okay, what you're first going to see is Italy's house. 2 minutes of Italy's house just to get a feeling for how the game goes.
I see someone sitting outside at a round table.
Okay.
With wine.
With wine and cheese.
Wine
yes.
and cheese.
They're very relaxed.
Definitely
Spaghetti.
doing
There's,
some
there's
spaghetti.
an old Italian lady sitting.
Look at the body language.
A group of guys sitting at a round table playing cards.
Okay, card playing.
Basically, Little Italy.
Sipping champagne.
Extended family.
All family.
Extended
All
family.
family. I think it's loud. I think it's loud. I think it's exciting.
Party
Like a party. Yeah.
Okay, so it seems like there's a
I
party.
feel like you're going to be
Look how
welcome.
quickly they started
Yeah.
talking.
I say you
Warm.
feel relaxed.
Yeah.
Drinking vino.
How long do you want to hang out in Italy's house?
Oh, all
For a
day.
while.
Underground?
Weeks.
Yeah, what are we going to be doing when we're there? Eating.
Eating,
drinking,
relaxing,
cards,
playing cards.
Okay.
Telling stories.
When we have to leave, we're finally going to have to go. Do we go because they tell us to go or because we have to go?
We have to go.
We have to
They asked that
Okay.
in each,
And how do
in
we
each
feel
house.
about that?
Sad.
Yeah.
Okay, here we have the house called Israel. Take a look at the body language.
I'm standing outside Israel's house, looking up. What do we see? Not everybody wants.
I'm picturing what I see over there on TV, cement.
So you
Plain
cement?
just
Cement.
How many people are living there?
I say probably about 4.
Is there a lawn?
No.
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 No garden,
A lot of concrete.
but a lot of
Not
concrete.
very attractive.
Barbed wire.
I don't think I would, because I picture very orthodox house.
So would you
I don't know if we'd even be welcome,
really?
depending, because there's certain depending on the religion, certain Orthodox you can't even enter the house unless you're a certain type. It's just the way their belief system is, so I don't even know if we'd be invited.
Let's just make it
It's
have to go.
dangerous too, just because all that's going on over there. Anytime
Yeah.
I hear
So
a
we
story
feel like
about
this has
Israel,
to
I
be
get so.
dangerous. Who greets us at the door?
The husband.
Yes, the kosher
Only
one.
country that the husband
Is there
opened
a
the door.
vibe in this house?
Strict.
Do you think?
Serious.
Uncomfortable. It's a kosher.
So we spend more or less time than we did in Japan?
Less.
Less? Okay. Okay. So when we're leaving, what are we thinking?
Glad we're out of there.
Hope we get out safe?
Yeah.
Okay. Is there anything colorful about this at all?
You can't even see the house. There's just this giant green spikes on top of it.
I think it's like more for a protection, like
It's for
to
protection?
keep people out.
Has big gates,
Fortified.
bars on the windows and whatnot.
One story.
It's a bunker? Okay.
A bunker.
Let's say that there was a neighborhood block party that was going on.
Well, that would be interesting.
Would all the families go, do you think?
No, I would say the Israelis wouldn't.
Why
I
wouldn't
think
they go?
the father would go just to see, you know. But
I don't think you'd
Okay,
allow
I'm
the
gonna
children.
stop
You
if I
don't
want to
want
come
to
up.
go, or maybe not even the wife.
I just get a feeling that they're very defensive and very closed off, protecting.
There are people that would just like to be left alone.
Yeah.
Animosity towards others.
I think you're expecting some kind of tension.
I don't know what to expect more from Israel's house than I do from France's and India's.
We don't want to stay there that long.
We don't?
No.
It feels awkward.
Are you feeling welcome?
Listen
I'm
to
not.
this.
No? What are you feeling?
I'm wondering if they'll accept me.
Yeah, how come?
Skin color.
Apprehensive.
Feel relieved leaving, actually.
Okay, I know my time is up, so I'm going to just sum up. Oh, no, that's good. Okay, well, first of all, I'm just going to sum up, but you can obviously make your own conclusions. Israel's house is obviously a religious, not welcoming place. No women. That concerns me. It's the only country where there were no women in the house. A house, the traditional place of women. There was even one time where she asked, "Are there any women in this house?" And in one of the tapes they said, "Maybe in the back. They're not allowed out." It's Saudi Arabia. People see Saudi Arabia. And this is consistent, by the way, group after group after group. So this is not a fluke, and these are high-income, educated people that read the paper. I just need to make one comment here. But obviously, I'm happy to you after, but I don't want to steal the show from the next speaker. But what I need to point out that's most important, remember we spoke about political support and how I claim, I maybe didn't say this, that political support is absolutely the theory, the old paradigm, I didn't say this, that once you achieve political support, the obvious natural flow, this is a big leap of faith, is from political support, then people will like us, right? Because to know us is to love us, obviously. Now, I claim, and obviously this proves it, that political support is absolutely no indicator of relevance or attraction at all. As a matter of fact, people that value Israel as a brand don't necessarily support us. And if you need any more proof, my friends, this focus group that you saw was in the United States of America. This is the country where we enjoy the greatest level of political support in the world. If you would have asked these people statistically, do you support Israel politically? At least 70% would have said, of course. We know you're the good guys. We know you're on the right side of the conflict. You're our allies. But being right and being attractive are two totally different things. They support us. They know we're right, but they don't want to come into my house for a cup of coffee. Now, I would love to take questions, and maybe I'll stop talking to take questions. But in a nutshell, the most important thing about communicating who we are, these people don't know who we are. They don't know what we eat. No one could say what we ate. It was the only house where people could not walk in and describe a single thing that represents life. They couldn't say the color of the walls. They couldn't describe the conversation. They couldn't see kids or life. They saw an army barrack with only men, mostly in uniform with weapons, sometimes with a beard and sometimes without, because, and here I'll sum up and take questions. I'm going to jump right ahead. Because Israel and Israelis see ourselves as a multifaceted brand. But the world only sees us through the prism of the conflict. And ladies and gentlemen, I must take responsibility and say that first and foremost, the people that are responsible for this are us, the Israeli government, because we voluntarily, anytime we're given a microphone and a stage, choose to communicate only through this channel. I'm not saying it doesn't need to be done, but only in certain situations. And to do it indiscriminately is telling the world this is all we have. It's telling the world that our competition is only the Palestinians. When I send an Israeli poet to an American university to speak with the chair of literature, you know what they say? Okay, sure, but just let me get a Palestinian poet too, so there's balance. Are they my competition in literature? Are they my competition in high tech? My competition is Europe. I'm phrasing my competition. I am connecting myself with this narrative by talking about it ad nauseum. This is a playing field where we will never win. And we can't deny it, right? The brand has to be true. But what I say is, let's go back to the multi-dimensional facet where we open up next to this picture that still remains in the middle. Israeli international humanitarian aid, Israeli high-tech, Israeli wine, fashion, dance, lifestyle, Tel Aviv, youth. Let us strengthen the parts of our brand that people value so that if we have a crisis here, this will be our backup generator. This isn't fluff. This is a matter of national security. But I'm going to stop here.
Zavi, thank you very much. Okay. You want to see it? Afterwards, we'll do questions. We're just, yeah, okay, fine.
You use this one? Use that one?
Zavi, pick whoever you want.
I'm picking, oh my goodness, okay. Hi, Guido.
Zavi, thank you for your presentation. We all know about this, and that's what we're blogging about, the proper side of Israel. What we'd like to know is you, as the Israel government brand person in charge, is how we can work together with you, how you can work together with us, so that we can all succeed together. That is the question.
I have a very simple answer, and I'll make it short. I'll answer in two parts. First of all, the actual program, which I didn't touch on. What we are going to do, we're not implementing this, just like the city of New York had nothing to do with the Big Apple. We have a budget from the ministry, from the Treasury, a 2-year budget to jumpstart this program, which is massive amounts of research and engaging an international expert that has branded many countries, a contract which was signed last week, and an expert who's coming to meet with Tzipi Livni in September, to craft, to interview people and to craft the overarching brand essence of who we are. Wait a minute, hold on, it's very concrete. The translation of that is something technical called the writing of a brand blueprint or brand book. It's, if we are all, the Philharmonic, this book is the notes. It's a technical book that delineates the cluster of values from focus groups in Israel, how Israelis can all agree upon a certain set of values that represents us. Fascinating research. I'll talk to you about it after. Now, once this persona is scripted, and in a word, if Italy is familia, and France is chic and high quality, and the Big Apple is sin and seduction, we're looking for that concept, and we have 3 already on the table that are going to be tested in 14 countries to see what resonates the most. The point is that once it's released, and I'll tell you the 3 ideas, it's for everyone to kind of continue what they're doing, but in a way that supports this overarching persona, all in their way, because that's the only way it can happen. But not contradicting it, but there are a million ways to express yourself in a way that supports that essence, so that we reach a critical mass, and people say Israel, and they won't say, a bum.